Hey folks, Nash Taters here with another video for War of the Visions Final Fantasy. So last time we talked about resources, and after watching my own video, I noticed that I kind of rambled on quite a bit. So hopefully, I'm gonna try to be more concise, precise, and get to the points a lot faster. Okay, so today we're gonna be talking about a few things. The biggest thing is gonna be the shop and the Mog shop. We're going to touch up on the Chocobo expedition because that's very important, pretty crucial to the game. However, when you talk about these three things, they're also going to tie in with a few other things in the game, namely the espers and of course the missions and maybe a little bit of equipment as well. But like I said, I'm going to go into each menu with very deep details in the future videos. So the first thing we're going to do is going to talk about the Chocobo expedition. The Chocobo expedition is very important to this game because it is used mainly for farming the Magicites to level up your espers. So let's go ahead and take a look at this menu. First of all, you're open up with a menu that shows where you can place your characters. So basically what this is you place your characters and they're going to gain experience. And they're also going to go out there and just kind of mine Magicites for you. So let's go and take a look at the party information. So basically, in the beginning of the game, you have only 3 slots open. I opened up the 2 extra slots. It costs 500 gems per extra slot to be opened up. Now, this is kind of really good in the beginning because this allows you to level up your characters a lot faster than simply just going through missions and multiplayer and whatnot. However, in the long scheme of things, once most of your characters are leveled up, it is really not that useful because most of your character is going to be level capped and you're not going to be gaining much experience. However, the plus side to that is there's this thing called unit bonus. And each week the unit bonuses change. So basically what it does is it increases your drop rate by a large amount and your experience by a faster speed based on the rarity of the characters. So this week they dropped a new characters. They dropped 2 new characters, and so therefore they're going to give you the biggest boost. Some of the older characters are also going to give you boosts. Of course, not as much. So the only ones I have on this account will be just this super rare character. And as you can see, it has this little green up button. Green up logo. So basically what it is it helps you increase the amount of loot that you, the rarity of the loot that you get. And of course, it speeds up the experience you gain from your characters. Ideally, of course, you want to just go ahead and put all the characters you have. That gives you this little green logo. But I only have one, like I said. And the other thing is you're just using them pretty much to farm, like I said, the Magicites. And with that said, let's take a look at the Magicites. You can actually click on this magnifying glass. A lot of people don't know this. You click on it and it tells you what you can obtain from this map. So you can see there's tons of crafting materials. And these are the ones that you're really going for, the Magicites to level up your espers. And then there's some awakening materials that we talked about from the last video. More awakening materials. More importantly, we're going to be talking about you can actually obtain ultra rare shards of characters that are ultra rare. And these are the 3 that are really good in the game. And actually all dark units in this game are very good. So this is probably one of the best maps you can farm. So when you're ready, just go ahead and head out. I'm not going to do that because I'm already set up. So to go back, we just hit cancel. Another thing that people didn't really notice when they first started playing the game is that you can actually hit the magnifying glass to see all the maps. Excuse me, that's not the right one. Actually, that is not correct at all. Let me go ahead and just collect first of all. Now the thing is, it doesn't really matter if you collect at maxed 40 or anything less than that. You're just collecting materials anytime you feel like it. So let's start this thing over. We go to party formation, and then you actually hit this, just click on this icon. And now it's going to show you all the different maps that you can go. And all these different maps will have the different elements, right? The green, the light, dark, thunder, etc., etc. And each map is going to have different units that you can farm, and also different materials you can farm. So it's very important that you are farming the maps that corresponds to the espers that you want to level. For beginners, I highly suggest the dark because the dark has a lot of really good units and also has one of the best espers that you can use in the beginning of the game. So I'm going to go ahead and head out, and I'm going to show you what happens when you head out. It's going to head out and it's going to tell you, well, there's some units that cannot acquire more experience. You're going to be getting this menu really quite a bit later down the road because, like I said, most of your units will be max leveled. And then head out to the expedition, and yes, it's going to show you another little fun little thing here, animation, and there you go. It's all set up. There's a quick way to expedite your expeditions, and that's by using the tickets. So you have a 2-hour ticket, a 5-hour ticket. 2-hour ticket gives you 30, so it's going to give you 30 items right away. Actually, no. 2 hours give you 14, I believe, and 5 hours gives you 30. So it should be roughly about 6 hours for you to fully replenish to 40. You can also use gems, but I never recommend using gems for anything other than we talked about shards and summoning. Now you can actually increase this cap here as you increase the loyalty of your account. We'll talk about that a little bit later, but basically what it is if you played a lot of different games that has the VIP system, that's what it is. You basically have a VIP system in this game, and you can increase this, I believe, with the royalty system. But if that's not the case, you can actually just straight up increase it with gems. I believe it's royalty though. All right. So it's very important to use the Chocobo Expedition. Anytime you see an exclamation mark, I will go ahead and get in there and click it. My suggestion is before you quit your sessions of playing the game, just go ahead and collect it and then start it over. So that way you have more time to gain more items. Just like we talked about how you should be utilizing your ranking and your energy. It's the same concept. You just want to maximize your intake as much as possible. And that will greatly segue to the espers. Because like I said, you should be leveling your espers according to the element. And since I'm farming dark, and I'll show you the dark esper that I'm currently leveling, it's pretty much the same for most situations in this game. It usually revolves around awakening and leveling. And this is their level. So awakening is the same thing. You just go ahead and increase the stars and you increases the level cap. Bear in mind, I learned that once you reach level 50 cap and you go ahead and you can allow to awaken, it starts over again at level 1. So you basically leveling this esper 130 levels if you think about it, right? You got to go to 1 to 50 and then you got to go from 1 to 80. In order to awaken it, you must gather more materials. And these materials can be found in your events. And I'll show you that in a bit. But basically, the reason you want to use espers in this game is because, one, you built enough gauge that you can summon this specific esper for him to come down and help you attack, or it, whatever it is. And they also give you stats added on to your character. So it's kind of like an equipment. But also on top of it, it gives you one skill. And once you use that esper in the game, in combat, it goes back to 0 and it regenerates again. Bear in mind though, when you're playing multiplayer where there's other live players playing, only one person can activate esper at one time. And if that person activates that esper, it resets everyone's gauge. So keep that in mind. So again, these are the magicides that I talked about. You should be farming to level up your character. So you just click on it and you can see it increases. You can also do batch enhancement. So therefore you can just hit max and it'll use up all of your magicides for you. Or you can do a little bit at a time. The key thing about espers is it also gives you extra boosts in skills. And the reason the dark one is so good is because this game has a lot of slash attacking, meaning characters that use swords or axes and things that does a slashing motion. And this one gives you nice boost in slash attacks. And if you really wanted to, you can actually just give them straight up attack. And there's some other things in this game, including resistances, which is very important. So basically what that does is it reduces the damage that is done by a specific element or something that you really want to target. For example, you want to target striking resistance, right? So monks who does fist damage, or characters that use melee weapons like maces or fists, things like that. Those are considered strike damage. So if you wanted to, you can go ahead and put your SPs into these, and when you equip this Esper to your character, it's going to actually increase those resistances for that character. So there's a lot of depth to this game. My suggestion is, if you get the Behemoth, which I believe is actually just a rare or a mega rare, it's pretty easy to get if you summon a few times. I would suggest putting into slash attack, because the beginning characters that you get are usually slash attacks. And currently in the state of the game, the strongest characters in this game I think are mostly slash attackers. And slash attacking is pretty popular. So again, I would just suggest using slash attack build for this specific Esper. Bear in mind, you can actually reset the board if you feel like you want to go to strike resistance later on, or maybe even demon killer or something like that. But it does require gems. The very first time you use it to reset is free. Subsequently, you'll be using gems. So be mindful of that. So that's pretty much the basic part of the espers. Espers do different things as well. They also certain espers boosts stats greater than others. For example, Ramu here most likely boosts up your magic attack a lot more than the other ones, for example. So look at that. So Behemoth will boost up your attack way more, and will boost up your magic attack a lot less. So it kind of makes sense to correspond to your character the Esper that makes the most sense in terms of stat boosting. Okay, so we talked about Espers and we talked about Chocobo Expedition. Let's talk about shops. I touched up briefly on shop last time, but in my opinion, gold and shop are the two vital parts of this game. And in order to be successful, you really need to take advantage of it. So we talked about when you open up the shop, you can buy items either using gold or using gems. My suggestion is always look at the items that are sold for gold first, unless you're looking specifically for shards of characters that you're trying to build up. And right now on this account, I'm not really looking to build many characters yet, because I have my 3 characters I'm working on. One of them is a limited time unit, so I'm done with that event already. And the other ones are free. So basically the shards are already done. And the one that is free is going to be Mont. Mont is really easy to get to 5 limit break, because his shards come from the shop and they're all sold by gold. So if you don't have him maxed out, I will highly suggest going for after him every time he pops up in the shop. These crafting recipes, I don't recommend buying the 50,000s, the 250,000s. And then later on, when you get stronger in your rank, they're going to have 1.25 million items. There's a few items that you may want to get later down the road, but for the most part, there's not many things you need to be buying, because the 50,000s and the 250,000 items you can obtain from doing your story quests. They're drops, and they do drop at a decent rate, I would say. Maybe 1 out of 10-ish, 1 out of 20, something like that. And you're going to be farming story mode quite a bit, so you're going to be getting a lot of these along the way. So I wouldn't really worry too much about it. Anything with these little tiny gems that's like, say, a boost, or these are called items in the game. They do certain things for you, like curing things, healing your character. From my experience, I haven't really needed to use any of these, so I never buy these. And same thing with the ones I sold for gold. Like these things, I actually haven't really used many of these. Because the content in this game isn't very hard so far. So until they release something that's a lot harder, maybe I'll consider using these. But the thing is, if you started playing this game already, there's always these things called missions when you play each stage, and I'll show you quickly here. So you have these things called missions when you're fighting in each stage, and they have specific requirements. And most of them says do not use items. So you can pretty much blast through this game without using any items. Now that'll probably change later down the road. But in the meantime, in order to get all these extra bonus items, it's really no need to use the items. So, all right, back to the menu. So we talked about those recipes. All right, so but I would buy all of these things that are used for your jobs. I will buy all of these because these are again items that you need to be farming when you decide to level up the jobs of your specific characters. And I will buy all of those because, like I said, it's much easier to farm gold because you're sharing energy when you're farming for gold, and you're sharing energy to farm for these items. And these are definite, right? And you can just buy these and it's right in your inventory. But when you're farming stages to farm for these specific items, there's always going to just be a chance. From my experience, I've gone days without getting specific items that I'm seeking. So if you see these and you need these items, I would just buy them. These are the awakening materials. I always buy these because this will save you quite a bit of time down the road. These are more awakenings. And then these are used to awaken equipment. I will buy these too, just because again, it's cheaper to buy these items with gold. Let's talk about more about the shop. Now, there's also these things called missions in the normal shop. And this is unfortunate where you have to actually start using paid gems. If you do decide to spend money on this game, get these first because you get all of these items. Look at this, all of this, everything in this menu, simply for 1,000. This is the best deal in the whole game. I will highly recommend buying these if you decide to spend money. And they recently added these things where you get tons of gems by using pay gems to convert to free gems. And this one you get, I think, 2,000 gems for 500 pay gems. It's pretty good. And there's higher level ones too. If you hit 800, I believe you get like 10,000. So it's a decent deal if you're a money spender. So I'll look into that if you do spend money. Special shop is basically a shop where you can spend real life money to buy gems and spheres and rocks and whatnot in this game. The global version of this game, it's pretty generous in terms of items you get, I believe, because they have a lot of these dollar items. You can just buy these maybe once or twice a week, and these are pretty good. You know, you get 60 pay gems and you get 3 large restores for $1. You know, if you want to support the game and you want to spend minimally, this is probably where you will spend some of your cash. Now, there's a lot of feature shops every week, and these are shops you really need to kind of look at and kind of evaluate them. There always has a shop that shows the feature unit of the week, right? So this week we have Miranda and Durando, 2 new characters. And there's also a new vision card, so they're going to put that shards of that vision card in there as well. And then they're going to give you these things. Now, these things are, in my opinion, they're the hardest thing to get in the game. They're very rare drops, especially when you get to the later job levels of your character, the 12 and above. Oh my gosh, they're so tedious to farm. But if you see these, I'll just buy them up. Like, these are for gold, right? I don't have them, so I'm just going to buy them. It makes sense. I'll go back so to make this video shorter. And then also, again, this is a Water Awakening Soul Pack from 2-star to 4-star. Great deal. Look at all this. You get all this. So again, for 500k, I can farm that pretty fast. So I'll buy these too. You know, it saves you a lot of time. And then, of course, more Awakening. I'll go ahead and go back and buy those too. Every week there's also feature units of older units. Again, it's the same concept. They show you the units of the shards here. Some rocks you can buy. I never really want to buy these for that amount of money, because remember we talked about you can just spend 1,000 paid and get you can get hundreds of these, right? But of course, if you're free to play, I will still avoid these because you rather spend the gems on the actual shards, because these you can actually get from the Chocobo expedition as rare drops, or you can get these every month through missions, which is something I'll talk about in my next video. And again, just keep in mind, anything you can spend gold on to save you time for the future, I will buy those. And then we've been getting these 5 million download. We've been getting these extra bonus shops, which is like the games keeps getting popular, and so they keep adding these bonus shops. The bonus shops you really want to keep an eye on because they have these things that are only once per day. And so this one is completely free, so obviously you will get that. And skip tickets. Yes, skip ticket is one of the most important things you can obtain in this game. It saves you tons of time. I'll go into it in a second here, but I will buy these for sure, and then buy these if you need them. Now, one thing I don't recommend buying, even if it's with gold, is the experiment cubes. The experience cubes are not really needed because you're a little hungry in the beginning of the game when you're like say level 5, level 6. Yeah, you really want to kind of jump level as fast as you can. But if you just play through the story and maybe play some multiplayer and play your other event dungeons, you're just going to gain experience fairly fast. And then once you unlock Chocobo Expedition, you can just drop your character in there and gain more experience. And you actually level pretty fast if you just put the time into it. And it takes quite an amount of cubes to actually level your character, so I don't really recommend using gold to buy the experiment cubes. The eggs are used to level up your vision cards. Now these are actually pretty good. I would recommend buying them if you have excess gold. Like your priority should always be buying the awakening materials and shards of characters if they're come up as gold. So this should be maybe your second priority because you're going to be blasting through your goal again on your skills and things like that, right? So when you come to the shops, this probably should be your second priority. And you don't need to buy these rocks either. They're used for leveling up your equipment. You can get these fairly fast if you just do some multiplayer. A lot of the events they run, they drop these things like crazy. So, all right, Vision Shop. This is something new they put in. I wouldn't really worry about these too much unless you're like a whale or something because like I said, I would never recommend spending gems on these because these vision cards, you're going to get them over time. And they recently released Chapter 6. Again, free skip tickets and then skip tickets for gold. You got to buy these. Now, these are called pots, and what you use these for is to level up the limit burst of your character. Each character has a limit burst or like their special or ultimate attack. And you use these pots to level up that specific skill. And I would recommend buying these two because these pots are always limited to 3 times a day. So you don't get to farm these as much. So I will buy these with gold. More feature unit stuff. And then this is the final shop item. The final shop item, it's every week it rotates. So Monday through Sunday, it rotates daily. And each day it does a different element. Only on Sunday it does light and dark. So today is Saturday, so it's going to have Earth. And again, all it is giving you opportunity to buy specific character shards and their materials for awakening. Buy the awakening stuff with gold, buy the shards of the characters you're looking to level up, of course. Just bear in mind, every week they come back. So these are really good source to level up some of your characters. Last thing I want to talk about in the shop is the fact that you can actually update your shop. Now, your shop auto updates every 6 hours. The server reset is at 4 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And subsequently, every 6 hours after that, the shop automatically updates. You can actually update this shop anytime you want. The first time you decide to update is free. The second time you update is going to cost you 10 gems. The third one it's going to cost you 50. I've never gone above 50, so I don't know. I'm guessing maybe 100, 200, etc. Personally, if you're a free-to-play player, I would recommend maximum go up to 50 shards. and only then if you're really desperate and you're looking for something. This game is all about testing your patience. So really, there shouldn't be a situation where you're desperate for anything. The only situation I personally see that you may need to do that is during special timed events, meaning an event like the Final Fantasy Tactics collaboration. That was only out for 2 weeks, actually 20 days. So, and you're looking for a Ramza shard or you're looking for Orlando shard. At that time, I was kind of desperate, so I was updating at even 50. But normal times, like I talked about before, all of these characters in this game, if they're not a part of a collab, they're built into the database. So once they release that character, then they're in the database forever, and you can summon them at any time. And the game tends to give you free summons quite a bit, and so you always have that chance to pull them. Never really worry too much about it. And even then, if you don't actually own the character, getting the shard really doesn't do anything because you can't even do anything with that character because you don't actually own it. So, all right. The last thing I want to talk about, actually, I did say last time, but this is the last thing, I promise. There's these equipment, and they're the 10,000 gold equipment. Buy these, and maybe even buy up to 3 copies of equipment that you want. For this one is a ninja blade. It's used for obviously ninjas. Shadow Lynx is one of the better ninjas in the game, and she, I believe, is a mega rare. So I will buy this, and the reason being is this. Units, here, let's take a look at Shadow Lynx. Yeah, she's a mega rare. So units have these equipment proficiencies. And what that means is units have to be able to utilize their equipment to the maximum capacity. Now, keep in mind, you can actually equip every item in the game on your character if it fits their profile, right? Actually, I'm using that as a poor example. This will be easier to explain. So look, check this out, right? When you go to equipment during your party formation before each combat session, they can equip either a weapon, an armor, or accessory. The thing is, though, these 10,000 gold items are just normal items, and any character can equip them as long as they meet the requirement to equip them. And what you need to do is you need to increase your proficiency of your equipment. As you can see, mine is an E, and that's the lowest. In order to activate all the stats from each weapon, you need to be proficient in them. So let's take an example for a different one, because there's not many ninja blades in this game that I own. So for example, this character. So as you can see, this is a mega rare, right? It has all these stats. And in order for me to equip this, I need to be, let's say, a B rating. And then I can equip these. And then all these stats will be this, white. And the UR, I believe you need to be A rating, or maybe it was B rating, whatever the case is. The point is, in order to utilize all these stats, in order for these not to be red, then you need to meet the proper proficiency. And you can automatically equip this right off the bat for your character at level 1 at E proficiency. And over time, your character, as they do combat, they're going to increase their proficiency. And what that means is then you can upgrade to the next level of a weapon you can equip, which would be the rares. And then again, you can actually utilize all of these stats and etc., etc. So to give you a better understanding, let's go ahead and find a character here that uses a sword. Okay. Here we go. So look, as you can see, she can use the normal weapon, and it'll give you all her stats. But if I try to equip this red, it doesn't activate these red because it says is insufficient proficiency. So what that means is you need to equip her with this, do some combat, and then it's going to increase this. And then as soon as this green arrow is gone, then you can actually fully utilize that. And it's the same thing for accessories, and it's the same thing for armor. So it's very useful for that. So again, buy those 10,000 gold items if you see them, and try to get them, up to 3 for the more common ones. The swords are the most common ones. The staves. The staves is a very common one you really need to get. Let's see if I can show it. Yeah, the staff. This is it's a really nice one to have for your beginner casters, right? You can have nice magic here. So buy those for sure. Now I did mention skip tickets. Skip tickets is very important in this game because it allows you to skip stories. Now remember we talked about the energy balance. So what happens is when a map is clear, you can go and farm this map and you will not gain any experience in your rank. But you will still get items, you will still experience for your characters, etc., etc. You can actually skip them. And I'm going to show you something here. You can actually skip those maps. So what I'm going to do is today I'm going to farm for a shard for this character. So let's say I'm farming for a shard, and this is a hard quest, right? I've already beaten this quest, and the way they consider beating it is if you've completed all the missions that we talked about earlier. You meet all the requirements, and you completely beat it. And then the skip battle button will activate. My suggestion is use a team and rename it skip. The reason being is this. When you skip a battle, your characters do not actually go into the battles to fight. So it could be even a level 1 character. But if you skip it, I'll show you. It's going to ask you to skip energy cost. And you only get 10 maximum hard quest attempts per day. So my suggestion is if you opened up a completed quest map for your UR character, farm those first, and then farm the shards of other characters that you want to farm next, priority wise. So watch this. Confirm. And look at that. It just gives you all this nice experience. And then it's going to show you the items that you looted. And then it says complete. So it's a really good tool to use to level up your characters on the side. My suggestion is just like I said, label your team skip and then just drop you don't even need all this junk. You don't even need any of this because it doesn't care. All it cares is the fact that you just automatically done the game. The computer automatically just gives you the items and the experience. So I would take advantage of this situation by dropping in the characters that you want to level. So for example, you level up max all your characters that you want to level your initial 5-man team, right? And you want to start at level 1 of a new character. Then just drop them in here real quick and do all your skip quests, all your hard quests by using your skip tickets, and then they're going to level up a lot faster. And then if you're getting to the point where your characters are actually really high level, let's say the 70s, and it just seems very grindy, put them in here and skip them. Skip battles, and you're going to get experience a lot faster. So that's my bonus tip of the day. And I think we talked about quite a bit today, so I'm going to cut this video short here today. I want to thank you for watching my videos. And if you do enjoy my content, of course, I'm going to always ask subscribe. If you like my videos, hit that like button. And put in a comment if you dislike this video for any reason at all. Go ahead and put a comment in there. Tell me why you don't like it. Don't just simply hit the dislike button because it doesn't tell me what I can do to improve my videos. Next time we're going to talk about more about this game. We're going to do part 3, and we're going to talk a little bit about the guild. We're going to talk a little bit about the duel. We're going to go a little bit more in depth of the far playing. And then we're probably going to start hitting up the formations and the units themselves. But I think if you've been watching my series of videos, these things are really good for introducing the different menus to the game for you. Okay? Until next time, take care of yourself and your family. Thank you.